English mistakes every day without even realizing it? Well, welcome to The Explainer. It is absolutely fantastic to have you here because today we're going to instantly resolve those sneaky vocabulary traps that trip up both non-native speakers and seasoned professionals alike. You know, these 15 word pairs confuse literally almost everyone, but by focusing on the patterns together today, we are never going to get them wrong again. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We've got 1. Actions versus things. 2. The one-letter difference. 3. Identical sounds, different meanings. 4. Distance, direction, and focus. And 5. Master your communication. Grouping these 15 disconnected pairs into these specific little grammar families completely prevents cognitive overload. It makes mastering them so much easier. All right, Section 1, Actions versus Things, when nouns and verbs look alike. This category is really all about stopping to ask yourself, am I performing an action right now, or am I holding a physical thing? Notice the written words under the images here carefully. On the left, we've got advice with a C. That's the noun. It's the actual suggestion itself, like, she gave me good advice. Now on the right, advise with an S is the verb, the actual action of suggesting something, like, he advised me to study. So advice is what you receive, advise is what someone actually does. And this brilliantly illustrates our next 2 pairs. First up, the classic mix-up. Affect with an A means to influence, like lack of sleep affects health. That's the action taking place. But affect with an E is the result, as in the effect was serious. We also have borrow versus lend. Borrow is the action you take to get something. Can I borrow your pen? While lend is the act of giving it. I will lend you one. So it's action versus result, taking versus giving. Pretty straightforward, right? Now, this brings us to hear versus listen. So while both of these are actions, there is a totally vital difference in intent here. Hear is completely automatic. It just happens to your ears whether you want it to or not, right? Like, I can hear music. But listen, that requires your active, focused attention. You actively choose to do it. Listen carefully. You know, you hear the background noise, but you listen to this explainer. Moving on to Section 2, the one-letter difference. Small typos, huge misunderstandings. Guys, a single, tiny keystroke can completely sabotage your sentence's meaning, literally saying the exact opposite of what you actually intended. It's wild. Now, what's really interesting about these is how visually similar they are. Accept with an A means to receive. It basically welcomes you in. I accept your offer. But accept, starting with an E and an X, means to exclude. It leaves you out entirely. Everyone came except him. Welcome in versus leave out. Huge difference. Okay, here is one that drives people absolutely crazy. Lose with a single O means to misplace something. Don't lose your keys. But look at the right side here. Loose with a double O means not tight. This shirt is loose. It's an absolute tragedy to lose your keys while wearing a beautifully loose shirt, wouldn't you say? Just remember, the baggy shirt has extra room, so it gets an extra O. Speaking of an extra letter, let's look at desert versus dessert. One S gives us a super dry place. The Sahara is a desert. 2 S's give us a delicious sweet dish. I love dessert. Now, the absolute easiest way to anchor this spelling into your memory is to remember that we always want a second piece of cake, which is exactly why dessert gets that second S. Looking at the top row here, quiet ending in ET means silent. Be quiet. But if you just swap those last 2 letters around to quite ending in TE, suddenly it means very. This is quite easy. On the bottom row, stationary with an A means not moving. But stationary with an E refers to writing materials. Just think of that E as standing for the envelopes and pens you buy. It's a lifesaver of a trick. Let's move right along to Section 3, identical sounds, different meanings. Don't let your ears deceive your eyes. I have to warn you right now, do not let your ears trick you here. These are homophones, meaning they sound exactly the same when spoken out loud, but they look completely different on the page and mean entirely different things. The spelling is the absolutely crucial point here. Break, spelled E-A-K, means to damage something. Don't break the glass. But brake, spelled A-K, is the literal pedal you use to stop a vehicle. Use the brake carefully. So let's be real clear. You must use the brake to stop your car, so you don't break the glass windshield. Next up, peace versus peace. Peace, P-E-A-C-E, means calm. I want peace. We all crave a little calm sometimes, right? But piece, P-I-E-C-E, means a part of something. Give me a piece of cake. You can kind of feel the difference between that serene sigh of wanting peace and the totally energetic demand for a delicious piece of cake. Now, here is a classic spelling trap. So the crucial point is right here. Principal, ending in P-A-L, means the head or the person in charge. The principal is strict. Meanwhile, principle, ending in P-L-E, is a rule. Honesty is a good principle. So look really closely at the written word. Your school principal ends in pal because they are a person, right? Your pal? Well, a principle is a strict rule you have to follow. And that brings us to section 4, distance, direction, and focus, perfecting your precision. Mastering these spatial and comparative words is exactly what separates the good communicators from the truly great ones. Look at the written words under the images here carefully. Then, spelled with an E, relates to time. Finish your work, then rest. But than, spelled with an A, is strictly for comparison. She is taller than me. I want you to visually anchor this difference right now. The E is for time, the A is for comparison. Once you lock that in, you will literally never mix them up again. Notice how one tiny letter totally transforms the spatial meaning here. Beside, without the S, simply means a physical location, like next to. He sat beside me. But if we just tack on an S to make it besides, it suddenly means in addition. Besides English, I know Hindi. Simply adding that S completely shifts the whole shebang from a physical spot to adding extra information. And finally, farther versus further. This is a great one. Farther actually contains the word far right there in the spelling, and that tells you for sure it's for physical distance. He ran farther. Further, on the other hand, means more or extra. It's for metaphorical depth. We need further discussion. So you run farther down the road, but you dive further into a really complex topic. Section 5, Master Your Communication, the power of precision. Bringing this all together, we've just tackled 15 of the trickiest word pairs in the entire English language. This isn't just about avoiding those annoying red squiggly lines in your documents, It's really about the power of precision. So let's quickly recap our core lesson. Step 1, remember that these tiny, single-letter changes hold the power to completely alter your intended message. They change the meaning completely, so use them correctly. Step 2, whenever you are in doubt, recall the written words under the images on these slides to help you remember the correct spellings. It's like a visual cheat sheet. And step 3, use this precision to communicate confidently every single day.